Black Adam. What have your powers ever given to you? Nothing but heartache.
Rumors have been swirling again, and this time they're pointing towards something that could be pretty wild. Dwayne Johnson might not be done with the DC world after all. But here's the kicker. If these reports turn out to be true, he wouldn't be returning as the exact same Black Adam from the DCEU that fans saw back in 2022. Instead, the talk is that Johnson could come back as a new version of Black Adam, a variant of sorts, and still keep the role under his belt. On top of that, whispers are going around that he could even face off against David Corenswit's Superman somewhere down the line. So, if all of this is even partially correct, it means Johnson's connection to DC isn't over, even though Black Adam 2 itself has been shelved. And because a bunch of new updates actually back up these rumors, it's worth digging into everything we know and everything fans are speculating about what could happen next. One of the biggest reasons this chatter has gotten louder is because of what happened in Peacemaker Season 2. The very first episode of that season did something interesting. It officially retconned the cameo appearances from the Justice League. Instead of showing the exact team lineup we've seen before, James Gunn's creative direction introduced a brand new Justice League lineup at the start of the episode. That was a big shift, because it suggested Gunn isn't afraid to rewrite or reshape parts of the DCEU's past to fit the new DCU vision. And this has naturally led fans to wonder, could Gunn pull the same trick with the end credit scene of Black Adam, the one where Henry Cavill showed up as Superman? It actually makes sense that Gunn might want to do that. For one, he probably doesn't want to waste an actor as bankable and popular as Dwayne Johnson. Johnson brings a massive fan base, not just from movies, but also from his wrestling days, and ignoring that kind of appeal would be a lost opportunity. Plus, if you really look back at the way Black Adam was built, the movie didn't tie itself too tightly to Zack Snyder's DCEU movies anyway. Apart from Amanda Waller showing up, there weren't any big direct connections to heroes like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, or Flash. Instead, the film leaned heavily on introducing mostly new characters like Hawkman, Cyclone, Atom Smasher, and of course, Dr. Fate. Because of that, it wouldn't actually be too hard for Gunn to retool the character and slide him into the rebooted DCU without messing up continuity. Now, the story for Black Adam 2 was always a mystery, and since Johnson himself confirmed on Twitter that the sequel isn't happening, we'll probably never know what the writers had in mind. The first film wrapped up with Black Adam and the Justice Society taking down Sabbac, so the logical next step might have been pushing Adam against a bigger global or cosmic threat, or even fleshing out his rivalry with Superman. That Superman tease in the post-credits set everyone up for a massive clash between Cavill and Johnson. But of course, with Cavill out of the role and David Corenswit stepping in, that plan is long gone. Even so, the seeds that were planted in Black Adam could still be carried into other DC projects. Since Superman was teased, there's always the slim chance that a version of that storyline could live on in Superman. Though that's less likely now because the new film is meant to set a fresh slate for the DCU with recast heroes. But there are other avenues too. Amanda Waller was also in the post-credit scene, which could mean Johnson might return in the Waller series Gunn has planned, or even pop up in Peacemaker Season 2. That second option would be particularly fun, because Johnson would get to share the screen with John Cena. Considering their wrestling history, that kind of reunion would almost feel like an event in itself. The main obstacle, though, is the budget. Johnson is one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood, often pulling in tens of millions for his blockbuster roles. Bringing him into a streaming series like Peacemaker or Waller might stretch the budget way beyond what Warner Brothers typically allots for TV projects. That's why some people doubt it will actually happen in that space. Still, even though the sequel isn't moving forward, James Gunn himself has made it clear he isn't shutting the door on Black Adam entirely. Not long ago, Gunn responded to Johnson's tweet about the cancellation of Black Adam 2 by saying, "Love The Rock and I'm always excited to see what he and $7 do next. Can't wait to collaborate soon." That kind of message doesn't sound like the end. It sounds more like they're keeping the possibility alive for something down the line. So, where does that leave us? For now, the most likely scenario is that instead of focusing on Black Adam 2, the DCU will start exploring other characters introduced in Johnson's film. Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, and Cyclone were all standout parts of the movie, and fans have already been asking for more of them. Even though Dr. Fate met a tragic end, Comic book logic has always allowed for resurrections or passing the mantle, so it wouldn't be too surprising if we saw him, or at least a new fate, again. Hawkman especially seems like a character who could thrive in the DCU going forward because he's such a classic hero with deep lore that hasn't been fully explored on screen yet. At the same time, it's not completely impossible for Johnson's Black Adam to show up again. If Gunn really wanted to, he could treat him like a multiversal variant, essentially acknowledging that this isn't the exact same Black Adam we saw before, but still giving Johnson the chance to keep playing him. That approach would be clever because it would let Gunn have his clean reboot while also keeping one of Hollywood's biggest stars on his roster. It would also open the door for that long-rumored showdown with Superman, only this time it would be David Corenswit's version of the Man of Steel instead of Cavill's. Although the road ahead is uncertain, one thing is clear: fans aren't ready to say goodbye to Dwayne Johnson's take on Black Adam just yet. The character brought something fresh to the DCEU, introducing a bunch of new heroes, delivering big action, and showing off Johnson in a darker, more morally complex role than what audiences usually see him play. And because the movie didn't tie itself too tightly to the old DCEU, it gives Gunn some breathing room to reintroduce or reshape Black Adam without too many narrative headaches. Now that said, the post-credit scene in Superman shows that even though Mr. Terrific sealed Luthor's rift, the fix wasn't flawless. That slight misalignment could become the perfect opening for Black Adam's return. The magical and cosmic energies left behind might interact with Kahndaq's ancient powers, allowing Black Adam to sense and exploit the unstable crack. While Superman sees it as just an imperfection, for Adam, it's a doorway, one that could unleash chaos or even connect to forgotten realms of magic. This clever tie-in turns a comedic beat into a serious narrative bridge, setting the stage for Black Adam 2. So, even if Black Adam 2 never sees the light of day, the chances of seeing Johnson again in the DCU are still alive, whether through a cameo, a multiverse twist, or a supporting role in another series or movie. The character's future may not be guaranteed, but the combination of Johnson's star power, fan demand, and Gunn's willingness to experiment means we probably haven't seen the last of him. And who knows, if things line up just right, we might eventually get that long-awaited Black Adam vs. Superman battle after all, even if it looks a little different than how it was first imagined. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching our video today, folks, and we will see you in our next video down the line. And don't forget to like our video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to our channel to stay in the loop. And if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video in the comments section down below. We'll see you next time.